Happy Earth Day! Today is Wednesday, April 22nd, and it is Earth Day. Of course, we should be treating every day like Earth Day because it's important to take care of our Earth. That's where we live. Today, we're going to read a story called Be a Friend to Trees because part of our Earth Day is going to be the celebration of trees. Why are trees important? We're about to find out. Join me in my story, Be a Friend to Trees. So here I am. I'm going to be going outside on this Earth Day, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to be working on after I do this video. All right, here I go. I'm outside. See this? Look at that great big tree in my front yard. And if you can tell, my husband's out there working. He is spreading some mulch underneath that big tree. It's a red maple tree. It's pretty fancy. It gets pretty big. So that's what I'm going to be working on after we do our Friend to Trees story. I'm going to also be going across the street, if you can see it. And there is a little path clear down there where you can take walks. And during this time, I've been taking walks because that gives me the exercise that I'm missing from the day. And you can take this walk, but I noticed the other day when I was taking the walk that there is a lot of trash back in there. So for Earth Day celebration, one of my jobs that I'm going to do is help my husband with the mulch to make our house look nice. And I'm also going to go and get my gloves on and pick up some trash along that trail. All right, so those are some things you can do on this beautiful Earth Day. So here's our book. We're going to talk about the main idea of this book. So this is actually a nonfiction text. So that means we are going to find facts and information in this book. So that's what we're going to be looking for today. We're going to see what the main idea is of Be a Friend to Trees, and then we're going to gather some evidence, some text-based evidence to tell us why that's the main idea. All right, main idea, what this text is mostly about. Be a friend to trees. I can already make some inferences. First of all, if I'm going to be a friend to trees, there's got to be a reason why I'm a friend to trees. Look at them, they're hugging the tree like it's their friend. So why would I want to be a friend to trees? Because trees are important. So actually, I'm going to write that down as my main idea. Trees are important. And I'm going to give you that information before we even start reading. And I'm going to put it on this. Remember, I told you I have to write things down because I forget. I'm going to put this down on my tree that I drew, just with the quick pen. Trees are important. And that's the main idea of this text. So we're going to go through, we're going to read, and we're going to try to figure out clues that tell us why trees are important. Are you ready? All right, Be a Friend to Trees by Patricia Lauber, illustrated by Holly Keller. I like this picture because a lot of the times when we have informational text, you know, they include some text features that are going to help us to understand the text even better. And this one is a diagram. Do you see that? It shows us the parts of the trees, like the trunk. So that's the diagram on the title page. Be a Friend to Trees. Trees are nice. They're nice to look at, nice to have around. I think right now they're using this tree for two reasons. Number one, because it provides this little girl shade. Is it a girl? This boy, sorry. Shade. And this little girl, we can have a swing from the trees. Trees are also useful. Both people and animals need trees of all kinds, sizes, and shapes. So why are trees important? One of the things is they're useful. And that's a good thing I could write down on my paper, but I'm going to wait and see how they're useful because that's going to help me understand the story better to find out how trees are useful. I'm going to move over just a little bit so you can see the book better. I also like this. I forgot to mention on the pictures, they actually label. There's another text feature. They label like what particular species this is. So this is a sugar maple, which what do you get from sugar maple trees? Maple syrup. And then it shows that this is a shagbark hickory. So it's labeling the different types of trees. This is a gray birch. This is an eastern white pine. So it actually gives you some more labeling of what types of trees these are. So more information in our text. Everything that is made of wood was once part of a tree. Look around you. How many wooden things do you see? Make a list. Don't forget to count your pencil and maybe your house if it's made of wood. So there's a white oak tree. So one of the things that makes trees important is, and I'm going to add this to my paper, is this is a detail. Why are trees important? Because everything that is made of wood was once part of a tree. So actually the stool that I'm sitting on right now, if it wasn't for trees, I would be standing because the stool is made of wood. Look at the bat, the hockey puck, the pencils. So wood comes from trees. And I'm going to write that down as one of my details. And we know lots of things are made of wood. So I'm going to write that down as part of my details. Trees are important. That's my main idea. Now, how do I know that? That's one of the clues. Paper also comes from trees. Ooh, I wouldn't be using this right now if it wasn't for trees, and we wouldn't be reading this book if it wasn't for trees. Wood is chopped into small pieces, mixed with chemicals and heated. The wood softens and becomes pulp, which is used to make paper and cardboard. Writing paper, books, newspapers, magazines, paper towels, cereal boxes, milk cartons, and many other things. Make another list of everything you see that is paper or cardboard. And don't forget the paper you're writing on when you're making that list. I like this because this tells you the process that's used to make paper. So there's even more information in the text feature. I love it when books have lots of other things besides just the information that you're seeing in the words. You're also learning from the pictures. You're learning from the labels, you're learning from diagrams. So these are all different text features that I want you to pay close attention to when you read these informational books because they give you more information about the topic. There's the sugar maple with the sap, there's the white pine, and there's a rubber tree. Some trees can be tapped for their sap. Sap from different trees is used to make maple syrup, chewing gum, soap, paint thinner, and rubber. So I'm going to put down, why are trees important? Sap comes from trees. And we use that to make lots of different things. Trees are green plants, and so they make their own food. Green plants are the only living things that can do this. Other living things depend on green plants for food. Some eat the parts of the plants. Some eat the plant eaters. Some eat both. And we've talked about those before. The ones that eat plants are called herbivores. The ones that eat both are called omnivores. Very good. You eat the parts of trees known as fruits and nuts. Apples, oranges, pears, cherries, peaches, walnuts, almonds, pecans, hazelnuts, and lots of others. Chocolate also comes from a tree. It is made from the seeds of the cacao tree. There's all kinds of different ones. So I'm going to write down here that food comes from trees. That makes it important, right? If we didn't have that, we wouldn't be able to eat, then we wouldn't be able to have energy. Many animals eat parts of trees. Caterpillars eat leaves. So do deer. So do koalas. That's one of my favorite animals. And so do giraffes and elephants. Porcupines eat the inner bark of trees as well as buds and twigs. So not only do the food that we eat come from trees, the food that animals eat can come from trees. Trees are important, aren't they? Squirrels and chipmunks gather nuts to eat. Bees find food in the flowers of trees. They collect pollen in the sugary liquid called nectar. Birds eat seeds and fruits from trees. And those are only a few of the animals that find their food in trees. And I'm going to put food comes from trees for animals and people. Are trees important? Yes, look at all the reasons trees are important. Many animals make their homes in trees. Birds roost in trees. They build nests and raise their young in trees. Squirrels nest in trees. Monkeys live in trees. Some tree frogs spend their whole lives in trees without ever coming down. That's pretty exciting. That's like us right now. We're spending our lives in our house. That's their house where they're spending their lives. Honeybees make hives in tree hollows. Many other insects also live in trees. So do small creatures such as spiders. Deer find shelter beneath the trees of forests and woodlands. They find safe places to hide their young. So I'm going to write down that trees are used for, I'm going to put the word shelter just because I like that word. Because it can be a home for some of the animals, or it can be a place like where the deer hide underneath of it for shelter. So I'm going to put that. The roots of trees hold soil in place. They keep it from washing away in heavy rains or floods of water from melting snow. When soil is held in place, water sinks into it and is stored in the ground. Many people depend on water that is stored underground. They draw it to the surface through wells. So trees, I never even thought about this when I thought about the importance of trees, but they actually hold the soil in place so that we can have groundwater. I'm going to write that down because that's important. That's a lot to write. Excellent. Look at how important they are. Trees do something else that is very important. It has to do with the air that we breathe. Air is made of gases. One of those types of air is called oxygen. It is the gas that all animals need to survive. Each time we breathe, everybody take a big breath, we take in oxygen. And we take it out of the air. But guess who puts it there? Trees. The supply is never used up. And the reason is that trees and other green plants keep putting oxygen into the air. They give oxygen off as they make their food. So when they make their food that they eat, because remember they make their own food inside of the tree, then when they give out the energy, it's called respiration. So they're giving us some oxygen. Trees make food in their leaves. The leaves can be broad, like the ones you see on a maple tree, and they can be narrow and pointed, like the needle-shaped leaves you see on a fir or a pine tree. All these green leaves do the same work. You know what they do in the leaves? That's where the food is made. So they have to have their leaves, right? So I'm going to write down another reason that trees are important is they make make oxygen for us. That is so kind of them. To make food, the leaves use water, which they take from the ground, and they use a gas called carbon dioxide, which they take from the air. Then they use sunlight as their energy. With energy from the sun, green leaves put the water and carbon dioxide together, like a recipe, and they make a kind of sugar. And that kind of sugar is called glucose, but that's not in the book. That's just an extra thing. The making of food by plants is called photosynthesis. And that's a word that means putting together with light. This bird's trying to say or spell photosynthesis. And here is another example of the process, just like they had the paper making process before. This is a diagram that shows the process of plants making their own food. The sunlight goes into the leaves for energy. The carbon dioxide comes from the air. The leaves get the water from the soil. And when they mix this all together, they can make their own food, and that's how they survive. Trees need food to stay alive, just like us. They also need food for growth, to make new wood, leaves, twigs, fruits, and nuts. So some of a tree's food is used right away, and some of it is stored for future use. While making food, leaves also make oxygen that they don't need, and so they get rid of it by putting it into the air. And that's so nice of them, because that's for us. Look at the kids enjoying this big tree. They're kind of using it as a jungle gym, huh? So trees could be something that we play on. Much of the oxygen that people and animals need come from the trees. So without them, we wouldn't be here at all. So trees are more than nice. They're something we can't live without. And that is why everyone should be a friend to trees. And then in the back of the book, I really like this because they give you some good Earth Day ideas for being a friend to trees. We learned down here in our graphic organizer that I created that trees are important. That's the main idea of the story, don't you agree? Without trees, we wouldn't be able to survive. Without trees, we wouldn't have this paper. Without trees, actually, I'm looking around my house and I'm thinking, I wouldn't have these cabinets. I probably wouldn't have the floor. I wouldn't have my walls. I'd be standing outside. I think trees are important. Without trees, we wouldn't have food. Without trees, animals wouldn't have a place to live. So all of those details tell us why trees are important. And that also gives us the evidence that we need to say that trees are important is our main idea. I hope you enjoyed this story. Like I said, there are ideas in the back of this book of how to be a friend to trees, which I chose this book today because it's Earth Day. And one of the things I think is important is for us to be friends to trees on Earth Day and every day because of how important they are. So one thing that we could do is recycle your paper. So they don't have to cut down a lot of trees to make new paper. We can just recycle the paper we've already created. And you know what we could do? Instead of writing on one side of the paper, I could write on the other side, maybe tomorrow, so we're not wasting paper. And then you know what we could do? Instead of taking a paper bag when I go to the market, or instead of getting a paper bag, I could use reusable grocery store bags. They're usually cloth and you can wash them again when they're done. So then we're not wasting those paper bags. There's lots of things we can do. One of the things I'm going to do today, which is why I'm wearing my sunglasses, I told you that I'm going to go out, help my husband put some nice things around our trees, the mulch, Then I'm going to go help clean up the, what do you call it? The path that I take walks on because there's a lot of trash out there. But another thing that you can do that helps because of all of the importance of trees is to plant your own tree. And then there'll be a place for birds to live, a place for us to get food, and they'll be making oxygen for us. And it says, and then if you have a chance, help plant a tree. And I know over at the high school today, they are giving away trees at Orville High School, I should say, on Earth Day so that we can plant this. And so maybe after I get all my jobs done, I'll head over there. Happy Earth Day, everyone. I hope you learned a lot about trees. I'll see you tomorrow.